Today, I want to speak about portals and related to the chosen. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't want to just keep talking. So let's get into the video. We have to remember when we walk through life, we don't just walk through life. We walk through territory. And these territories, they come with doors. Some doors are placed by God, and some are placed by darkness. Some are even placed by people who should have never had access to us. A portal is simply an opening that gives permission for influence, observation, interference, and even attachment. And we, as chosen individuals, we must be intentional about what we give permission to. We have to learn to avoid certain environments, these environments that shift our inner state. Some portals are not supernatural, they're emotional gateways. We can't sit in chaotic conversations, jealousy filled atmospheres, confusion driven individuals, or trauma fueled relationships because these environments, they pull our spirit open. They weaken our guard and lower our spiritual resistance. For example, if your mood changes, your energy sinks, or your intuition goes silent. That space is trying to open you. So you have to know when to leave. Portals are not fantasy. They are spiritual openings that give something the right to enter. And for the chosen, the danger isn't the supernatural door. It's who or what benefits when your inner world loses stability. So let's talk about the openings that the chosen will encounter without fear, without the superstition. Let's talk about what actually happens in the spirit when your world shifts, even when you haven't moved. Because for you, doors don't just sit in front of you, they move with you. Chosen individuals do not stumble into portals. Portals respond to the chosen. And when you truly understand this, you stop living like a target and start living like someone who carries divine authorization everywhere you go. A portal is not a spooky doorway, it is permission. That's it. Permission for something to speak, to approach, to enter our world, either emotionally or spiritually. So we also have to learn early that portals form when our boundaries shift, not when our surroundings shift. Let me explain. You could be standing in a peaceful room and still be wide open spiritually because your inner world is unsettled. Or you can be in a disturbing environment and nothing can reach you because your inner world is locked, sealed, guarded, and under divine surveillance. And this is why some people can go anywhere, be around anyone, touch anything, and nothing touches them back. And while others walk into the same room and feel drained within minutes. It's not the room, it's not the people, it's the opening. And openings don't appear outside you, they appear in you. Portals will form when we experience emotional disturbance. And this is the most common and the most ignored. When we get upset, allow ourselves to be triggered, we're misunderstood, we're rejected, we feel it, we feel overwhelmed, we feel pressured, or we feel lonely because your emotions shift and suddenly your guard is thinner because emotion is movement. And anytime you experience strong emotional movement, your spirit becomes more accessible. This is why chosen or certain people try to frustrate us because they're not after our feelings, they're after the opening your feelings might create. You can become so frustrated and emotional that now you need their help. The same person that caused the emotional turmoil and you're crying to a person that devastated you and now they're holding you, consoling you. Your emotional world is the front gate of your spiritual territory. And when the chosen lose balance emotionally, the spirit realm pays attention. This is why we can't argue like everyone else. We can't fight like everyone else. We cannot spiral like everyone else, and we can't vent like everyone else because our emotional responses create spiritual consequences. Other people can get mad and walk away. We get mad and something tries to enter. That's how sensitive our calling is. A chosen person does not respond to people. We respond to the air, to the atmosphere. The person in front of us is irrelevant. That tension you feel when you walk in a room, that isn't social discomfort. That's your spirit picking up on openings already present. Have you ever walked into a place and felt heavy, felt confused out of nowhere, or agitation that you can't explain because it wasn't yours, or a sudden drop in your energy, even when nobody was looking at us? That's atmosphere. Atmospheres carry residue. Residue carries invitation, and invitation creates openings. Atmospheres only open you if you let your inner reality match the room. If the room is jealous and you start doubting yourself, you're matching the room. If the room is drama filled and chaotic and you then become frantic, you're matching the room. If the room is competitive and you start comparing yourself, even though you know you're chosen, you are matching the room. And if the room is hostile and you shrink back, you're matching the room. You didn't just react, you opened. For chosen individuals, reaction is opening. And once open, you are accessible. But chosen ones are supposed to reverse atmospheres, not mirror them. Your presence is supposed to correct the air, not absorb it. And this is why darkness tries so hard to disturb you before you walk into important spaces. Because if your inner world is unsettled, you won't be able to regulate the room. And rooms that go unregulated influence you before you influence them. Let's speak about intention. The spirit realm doesn't respond to your actions, it responds to your intentions. So you can smile and still be open. You can pray and still be open. You can be quiet and still be open. Because openings form not by what you do outwardly, but by what you intend inwardly. So if your intention is to please people, to be accepted, to be understood, to be validated, to be liked, to not be rejected, your spirit becomes accessible. Why, you might ask? Because intention is direction. Because if you want to be validated, you're going to move like you want to be validated. Whatever your intention aims toward becomes the spiritual target in your life. If your intention is approval, portals open through the people you want approval from. If your intention is love, portals open through the people you desire connection with. If your intention is acceptance, portals open in the environments that tempted you. If your intention is obedience, divine protection, discernment, and purpose, then your spirit becomes harder to access because intention becomes a seal. And this is why chosen individuals must be intentional about their intentions. Your inner motives are not private. In your spirit, your intentions speak louder than your voice. And we sometimes accidentally open portals without knowing by letting someone talk to us too long. Did you know you're not supposed to have long, drawn out conversations? Staying in a room after you feel spiritually uncomfortable. Entertaining conversations that disturb you. Thinking about something that hurts you right before sleep. Engaging emotionally when you should stay silent. Trying to explain yourself to someone who doesn't deserve access. Feeling guilty for protecting yourself. Staying connected to someone who drains you. Ignoring your first instinct. Letting someone pull you into their emotional world. Being curious about something that does not belong to your path. I personally probably checked every one of those boxes. Every one of these actions create a subtle opening, not dramatic, not obvious, but enough to let someone pass through. And chosen individuals don't need big doors to be affected. We can be affected by just a crack. Your sensitivity means even small openings create noticeable impact. So the chosen avoid portals by mastering inner closure, not outer withdrawal. Inner closure is when your spirit says, I will not open to anything heaven didn't authorize. And so you can be in chaos and still be closed. You can be around hostile people and still be closed. You can be in a tense environment and still be closed. And you can walk through dangerous spiritual territory and still be closed. Because closure is not isolation. Closure is about governing your spirit the right way. It's self-governing protection. Self-governed protection. And once you master it, you become nearly impossible to access. We are not to fear portals. We are to control them. You are not someone who portals hunt. You are someone whose presence shuts them down. Your spirit carries a higher ranking, a higher backing, a higher validation, and your emotional stability is protection. Your intention is protection. Your discernment is protection, and your obedience is protection. Portals don't just appear, they form around whatever is unstable. And when the chosen remains centered, portals lose their influence. This is why darkness tries to disturb you so much. Because once you stay grounded, you become untouchable. Because for most people, a room is just a room. It's just a vibe. An atmosphere is just a mood. But when you are chosen, you don't react to people, you react to the atmosphere. You don't feel social awkwardness, you feel spiritual conditions. Some people believe they have social anxiety, and that may be true. Or you may have a high spiritual ranking, and you need to learn how to control your energy. See, you don't absorb bad energy, you detect invisible activity. That's what we're responding to. So we come in contact with individuals and we feel, well, we are reacting to them, but we're reacting to the frequency they represent, the energy they carry, because we can sense something is off, something changed, or something here doesn't want me here. Something here is pulling at me. Nothing physical happened. Nothing said a word. No one said a word. But your spirit picked up on something before your mind could explain it. Just like the sky has weather patterns, right? Rooms do too. Some rooms are naturally peaceful. They feel warm. Some rooms feel heavy and chaotic and competitive and tense and draining, and you may even feel watched in those places. And this is because a room absorbs everything that's been done in it. Arguments leave residue. Jealousy leaves residue. Fear leaves residue. Betrayal leaves residue. Secret conversations leave residue. Hidden agendas leave residue. And the chosen detect residue the way others detect temperature changes. Your body may not notice it, but your spirit does. You can walk in a room and feel a sudden shift, a pressure, a heaviness, a tightness around your chest, a subtle discomfort, a spiritual alertness, and a sense of being seen. You're not imagining anything. Atmospheres announce themselves to gifted people. Someone can welcome you, smile at you, hug you, greet you warmly, but the room itself didn't. That's because people can pretend. Atmospheres cannot. A room can be decorated beautifully and still feel hostile. A family gathering can look loving and still feel unsafe. I experienced that. A workplace can appear professional and still feel predatory. I experienced that. Because you can pick up on the spirit of a place and not the appearance of the place. And this is why you can sense betrayal before betrayal happens. You can sense jealousy before jealousy is spoken. And you can sense hidden motives before motives are revealed. The chosen are pre-warned through the atmosphere, and that is our first level of protection. Some environments don't just feel strange, they attempt to pull you open. Your emotional state is nudged, your attention shifts, your guard weakens, your spiritual protection thins, and you become accessible. You become hyper aware, on edge, or mentally scattered. You feel off balance or disconnected from yourself. Not gone, but interrupted. Not possessed, not overtaken, just reachable. And environments that are spiritually polluted love reachable people, especially reachable chosen ones, because chosen individuals carry high ranked light. And polluted environments want to drain or destabilize that. So they try to pull you open through overwhelming your senses, emotional agitation, sudden confusion, internal distraction, uncomfortable silences, subtle intimidation, and unexplained heaviness. If you ever walked into a place and felt like your mind suddenly got foggy, That was an attempted opening. If you ever entered a room and suddenly felt sad or insecure, that was an attempted opening. If you've ever gone to a space and left feeling like your joy dropped, that was an attempted opening. This is why you can't go everywhere. We can't stay everywhere and we can't linger everywhere. Not because we're fragile, but because we're spiritually high value. You do not absorb more because you are weak. You absorb more because you are chosen. Your spirit is engineered to detect dishonor, danger, jealousy, loss, betrayal, heaviness, confusion, interference, and even intention. You are designed to respond to the unseen because your path requires navigating realms others can't perceive. So when an atmosphere is hostile, your inner world rings the alarm. When an environment is spiritually polluted, your mind gets clouded. When a space is full of jealousy, your spirit is unsettled. When a room is full of secret competition, your instinct sharpen. That is not overreaction, that is your spiritual intelligence doing what it is designed to do. When environments attempt to access, there's sudden emotional shifts, mental fog or distraction, feeling watched spiritually, unexplained fatigue, inner warning. You become irritated, and it's an irritation that wasn't there before. And you may even have conflicting thoughts because if your mood changes immediately upon entering a room, that's not you, that's the environment. Your thoughts can feel scattered, cluttered, or even blocked. You can feel observed, and not by eyes, but by presence. Chosen individuals lose energy rapidly in heavy atmospheres. And see, that's quiet internal voice. That quiet internal voice is saying, don't stay here long. Watch everything. Something's wrong here. You went in calm, and within minutes, you feel tense. Your mind starts arguing with itself. That's tug of war between your intuition and the atmosphere. The chosen don't avoid every atmosphere or environment. They just don't enter unguarded. We have to keep our emotions steady so the environment can't influence us. We have to keep our attention inward, not outward, because busy environments feed on our outward focus. So we have to stay anchored. And when we shrink because we let our confidence change in a hostile environment, openings appear. So we have to learn to stand tall. And we have to learn how to avoid unnecessary conversations. And I felt this was necessary to say to you because recently, I'll say over the past couple of weeks, and when I would go to say something, I would hear, don't speak if it's not necessary. If it's not necessary, you are not to speak. And if someone would speak to me and I don't respond, and I can see them staring like, did she hear me? But it was because I was asked, if it's not necessary, don't speak. So that's where this avoid unnecessary conversations. And what it was is talking too much in polluted environments create access. It may not be the person, it may be the environment. And we can't be concerned with whether or not someone thinks us to be strange. Once we recognize who we are, we don't need to be validated. We have the most potent validation known on this earth. So we have to know when to leave environments when our intuition says you've been here too long, long enough. Obedience protects you faster than discernment. And don't explain your discomfort. You don't owe understanding to anyone. Your spirit knows what your mind hasn't processed yet. And we reverse atmospheres. And this is the part that many don't know. I didn't know. I'm learning too. Your presence doesn't just detect atmospheres, it interrupts them. Hostile rooms become unsettled when you enter. People with hidden motives become anxious. Jealous hearts become exposed. Secrets feel suffocated. Manipulators feel powerless. And dark agendas lose momentum. Why? Because your light disturbs what was comfortable in the dark. Some rooms try to open you, but most rooms simply fear you'll open them. And so you don't just walk into environments, you walk in with spiritual backing, a backing that rearranges what's happening behind the scenes. That is why some places reject you, some places resist you, some places don't want you there. They can't wait for you to leave. You or rearranging what's happening behind the scenes. And it's not because of who you are in the natural, but because of what you carry in the spirit. So environments know your identity. People do not. Environments only open you when you let the room change your inner state. But when you stay centered, rooms obey you. Atmospheres shift around you. Spiritual residue clears when you walk in. Hidden intentions rise to the surface. Secret hostility becomes uncomfortable. Jealous hearts grow nervous. And dark influences retreat. Because the chosen don't just survive environments, they dominate them too. You aren't a visitor. You are a disturbance, a correction, and you are an interruption to anything built on dishonor. You don't fear atmospheres. Atmospheres fear you. Let's talk about something most people avoid discussing because it forces accountability, confrontation, and spiritual maturity. People are portals. Not all people, not most people, but certain people walk around as open gateways, carrying spiritual access points they don't even understand. And the chosen feel them before they speak, before they move, before they reveal anything on the surface. The greatest openings in the life of a chosen individual rarely come from places, they come from connections. Every person has a spiritual posture, even if they don't know it. Some people are sealed, some people are protected, some people are inwardly grounded, and some people are spiritually stable. But others walk around wide open. They're open emotionally, spiritually, energetically, psychologically, open to influence, attachment, manipulation, and to anything that approaches. And when someone is spiritually open, they become a gateway, not just for themselves, but for whoever connects to them. Open people transfer what they carry. When someone is spiritually open, they don't just bring themselves into your life, they bring everything attached to them. Every emotion has, every emotion they haven't resolved, every wound they haven't healed, every unfinished spiritual conflict, every hidden insecurity, every influence they let in, every force they entertained, every connection they never closed. This is why the chosen must be extremely selective. You're not rejecting the person, you're rejecting the opening they carry, because merging with them merges you with their access points. And chosen individuals cannot afford that. They are human gateways. They're emotionally unanchored. They're spiritually reckless. They're energetic leakers. They're trauma carriers and the intentionless drifters. These people whose emotions shift rapidly, right? They feel everything intensely, but they manage. They manage wise. They don't manage nothing wisely. Their emotional volatility creates constant openings. They're ready to fight all the time. Their emotional volatility creates constant openings, connecting them with something that will drain you instantly. And when I said spiritually reckless, these are people who dabble, experiment. They try things, they watch things, they listen to anything, they participate in anything. They have no spiritual boundaries. Their life is a revolving door. And the energetic leakers, and I spoke about this on another video about wounds, right? These individuals are always depleted, always empty, always needing, pulling, extracting. They always need to borrow money. They always want to come over to your place, or you come over and visit with them. They want all of your time. Their spirit is full of holes, and being around them feels like a slow sink. They always got a dilemma or a problem. And what about the trauma carriers? Not people who have been hurt, but people who refuse healing. And so they let their wounds guide their choices. Their unresolved trauma remains an access point. What about those who have no intentions? They just drift through life. They don't operate on purpose. They have no direction. Whomever they're with, they follow them. They follow the leader. People with no direction become highways. If you don't know where you are going spiritually, you can be easily influenced. These individuals unknowingly carry openings, and there's always a spiritual leader or a so-called spiritual corrupted individual who will drag them, and they'll drag a chosen one into misalignment. And you feel it the moment they walk into your life. Chosen individuals always notice the impact quickly, even if they don't understand it at first, because the mood changes. We feel spiritually off centered around that person. Your energy will shift. You feel the tension around them. It seems like your dream state becomes affected. Like the presence carries in, or the tension carries into your sleep. And you feel tugged, a pulling, a heaviness or pressure that was not there before. Your discernment wakes up instantly. Your spirit becomes alert, not comfortable, and you recover the moment they leave. As soon as they step away, everything resets. That's the clearest sign. Their absence restores your spirit faster than their presence does. And we attract spiritually open people. Chosen individuals carry a grounded, spiritually fortified presence. Our spirit is sealed, our discernment is active, and our connection is strong. So people who are spiritually open feel safer around people who are spiritually guarded. And so you feel like the stabilizer for them. You feel like peace and balance and grounding and protection. It's like something bigger is covering you, and it covers them when they're near you. So open people gravitate toward us because our presence calms their chaos. But here's the issue with that: they don't come alone. They bring everything attached to them. And your spirit begins fighting battles that were never supposed to be yours. When you connect emotionally, spiritually, sexually, mentally, or energetically with someone who is open, your spirit automatically begins defending them. It's like sleeping with a prostitute, joining a gang, joining a cult. And you begin defending them not because you choose to, but because your calling senses gaps. And so your anointing senses openings, and your discernment senses weakness. So you start protecting them, stabilizing them. You think you can change them because you feel it too, that you feel and you know that you have something about you that can change their life. You'll begin to interpret for them, carrying emotional weight for them, solving spiritual problems they created, and covering them in realms you didn't consent to enter. Your spirit becomes a shield for someone who isn't even covering themselves. And you begin to feel tired, heavy, unbalanced, drained, not because you're weak, but because you're carrying a battle that belongs to a life that is spiritually open. The chosen don't have to disconnect from everyone, just the ones who refuse to guard themselves. Observe the emotional state around people. Watch for patterns and not moments. Limit access for people who feel spiritually chaotic. And protect your personal space. Don't explain your boundaries. You're not being rude, you're being covered. Keep emotional attachments clean. So don't bond with people whose spirit is unguarded. It's unguarded if they're living, working, and promoting certain environments. Disconnect quickly when your intuition warns you. Delayed obedience becomes unwanted openings. Your spirit speaks through emotional shifts. One bad day is normal. Consistent disturbance is spiritual. Watch for the patterns, not the moments. Limit access for these people who are spiritually chaotic. Access is the first level of permission. Protect that personal space. Chosen individuals cannot let everyone touch, hug, or even shake their hand. Did you know that? Stop hugging everyone. You enter their field. You are not being rude. You are being covered. Stop bonding with the spirits that are not unguarded. You don't just protect yourself. You protect everything connected to you. You go one place and you hugging everyone, and then you go home and you're touching and hugging and preparing meals for those you love. Your destiny, your gifts, your assignments, your insight, your elevation, and your path. You can't merge with every spirit. You can't even have everyone in your home. You can't host every event because not every spirit is sealed. You can't trust every intention because not every intention is guided. You can't walk with everyone because not everyone guards their own soul. As a chosen one, your boundaries aren't optional. They are divine strategy. Closing, I want to say you don't avoid people. We are to avoid their openings because some people are not just individuals, they are access points. And when you understand how human gateways work, you will stop asking, why did this person affect me so deeply? And you start saying, my spirit picked up on what their spirit never guarded. And you're not paranoid or dramatic. You're not sensitive in a negative way. You are spiritually intelligent. So you don't fear people, you discern them. You don't absorb people, you evaluate them, and you don't get pulled into their openings. You recognize them, guard yourself, and stay sealed. This is how individuals stay untouched in a world full of human gateways. And we have to be careful even with media, because media for us isn't just content, it is spiritual wiring. It wires us. It is emotional shaping. It is subconscious imprinting. It is unseen initiation. While other people scroll and binge and tune out, you receive. I fell in love with YouTube a few years ago. And I see myself now where, because I have this channel and I have other projects, it's not that I'm not watching YouTube because I'm busy with this. I limit what I watch because this means so much to me. I want to get it right. So if I watch it, I found lately that I watch little sports commentary. I be careful about the gossip because I don't want that to get in my spirit and then I'm giving it to you. So when I need to relax and watch YouTube, and if I'm not meditating, then what I'll do is I've been finding sitcoms to watch. I'll watch that, maybe comedy, just to add that in there. We absorb, we interpret, and we internalize what we tune into. So even for me, and especially for me, I have to be careful. And because our spirit is extremely sensitive, what enters through our senses doesn't leave without an imprint. See, we are not wired like the world. Our spirit is receptive, our insight is active, our emotions are intuitive, and our subconscious is alert. So when we consume anything, a movie, a song, a video, a clip, a live stream, your inner world responds on levels others never notice. And there's some music I like, I must say. So we don't just watch, our spirit observes. We don't just hear, our spirit translates. And we don't just enjoy, our spirit evaluates. This is why certain content leave us feeling unsettled and heavy, or agitated and exhausted and spiritually off, emotionally altered and mentally cluttered. Not because we're fragile, but because our spirit detected something our mind dismissed. Chosen individuals, chosen family, we cannot consume carelessly. Your calling demands selectivity, just like mine. We have the same calling. We may have gifts that differ by degrees. It may be by lineage. Sound is one of the strongest portals. Why? Because sound bypasses logic. African drumming does something, African beats, and it goes directly into the subconscious. You don't have to agree with the music, you don't have to understand it, and you don't even have to like it. If you hear it, it enters. Music, conversations, podcasts, background noise, everything carries vibration, intention, and spiritual residue. And this is why some music will drain us, some voices irritate our spirit, some songs feel dark even if the lyrics are positive, some entertainers unsettle us without reason, certain frequencies disturb our peace. Certain tonalities make your intention react instantly, and our mood can shift when certain people speak because our spirit reacts before our mind can interpret. Because sound reveals spirit. So what you hear can open you what by altering your emotional tone and influencing your spiritual balance. I watched a couple of videos and it was similar, but it spoke about how there is a particular hotel, and it must be hotels with an S, but it's one particular hotel, and this hotel has a room, and this room is where people bring their masters. And before a song is released, that the songs music is played there in order to observe some type of things are spoken over the music to definitely have a certain intention. So because sound reveals spirit, what we hear can open us by altering our emotional tone and by influencing our spiritual balance. Much of the music I have learned is spoken over. Imagery is the next doorway, not pictures on a screen, but imprints on the subconscious. Your mind cannot unsee what it sees. Your spirit cannot unfeel what it encounters. Violence, cruelty, humiliation, lust, manipulation, mockery, spiritual distortion. These do not entertain our spirit, they imprint on it. Chosen individuals often feel off after watching certain content, not because of weakness, but because our spirit rejects imagery that does not align with our path. When we're outside of our path, we will have more attention. We can tolerate a little bit more of it. And so, our inner world, when it's not aligned to our path, will say, this shouldn't be in my field. This shouldn't be in my subconscious. I'm just saying what your spirit, how your spirit may speak without words, the frequency that it is entering. This shouldn't be in my insight. You don't want to go to certain places because you don't want to see it. And you shouldn't be near my purpose, certain things. I told you guys about the gentleman who was a producer and he was writing a song for Tupac. And how when he said that he had writer's block. And so he and Tupac went to the club, and what they picked up at the club and brought back to the studio, and how this one girl changed in front of him. See, you can go places and they can pick up on you, right? So if they picked up on them too. They migrated over. You got to be careful of fans and groupies when you're talented, gifted. You are definitely who they'll navigate to, migrate to. Your spirit is protective even when your mind is distracted. You have to be careful. And media can open emotional openings. Media doesn't just expose you to content, it shifts your emotional state. I had another video, I took it down, but it was when I first started a few months ago. And it was Donald Trump, the president, actually tearing down a part of the White House and what actually he was doing. I took it down. What we watch, when someone else can go to a movie or have an experience together, and what you experience and explain and what that person makes experience and explain will possibly be two different planes. And our emotional shifts create spiritual openings. So if a movie leaves you feeling hopeless, a storyline leaves you feeling insecure, a song leaves you feeling empty, a video leaves you feeling envious, a clip leaves you feeling shame, if a comment section leaves you irritated, you don't just feel something, your emotional state moved. And movement creates openings. And this is why the chosen must be intentional. What we consume determines the stability of our inner world. Chosen individuals rely on spiritual sensitivity to navigate life. But when you consume too much noise, your discernment, it becomes cluttered and dulled and overstimulated and confused and unfocused. It's hard for us. That's why we become grounded and quiet. And you can get individuals that they can party, they can hang out, they can go to shows and concerts and be so active in everything. And that's who they are. They have a high tolerance for sensory noise. It's like they never get overstimulated. They're on ready all the time. And they live like that and they're happy like that. And what we feel is not because our gifts are weak, it's because the input can overwhelm our gifts and our insight requires clarity. So, too much consumption, especially chaotic, low frequency, or emotionally disruptive content, it creates an internal fog. And this fog doesn't come from spiritual attack. Again, fog doesn't come from spiritual attack, it comes from overload. When we can't hear clearly, it's normally because our spirit has been absorbing mixed signals. So we often have to go out and walk through nature, take hikes, or if you're not in that environment, spend more time listening to music that soothe you. Sit, get quiet, book or whatever. We do things to calm us and we start seeing clearly. And it's three types of content I believe that we must limit. And it's not about censorship, but it's about spiritual self-respect. Contents that celebrates dishonor. What is that? Mockery, pettiness, cruelty, betrayal. Your spirit rejects this instantly. And there is a lot of entertaining content that doesn't have this. Content that manipulates emotions. Shows that designed to disturb. It glorifies trauma. It is music built on emotional despair. But I do listen to like sad sometimes. But these can open you through emotional destabilization, but I do it at home. I like scary movies. Content that distracts our spirit, we got to be careful of. That mindless scrolling, that overstimulation, the chaotic feeds. These don't just waste time, they dull our discernment. You cannot afford spiritual dullness. And when we've been open to something, we feel drained after watching something. You can't shake a heaviness that comes out of nowhere. Your dreams become chaotic. Your intuition feels quieter. Your emotion balance is off. You start thinking thoughts that don't feel like yours. Your patience shortens. You spiritually disconnected and you wake up uneasy the next morning. This means content entered your subconscious and unsettled your spirit. I recall when I watched this video, I scrolled and scrolled on it, couldn't look away, and I kept watching it, but it was disturbing. And I kept going back to it, and it was of a brand new baby, newborn, and the baby and it wouldn't be able to live long. Why the doctor put that on the screen, I don't know. No nose, like one eye. It just kept looking at it. And I'm like, why is this baby on the table? Why doesn't it have oxygen and this and that or whatever? And I've noticed in the comments, people were sending prayers for that baby. And the doctor kept shaking it. Whoever was touching it, maybe a nurse, and the baby would cry, and people were upset about it. And someone had to come on as a medical professional and said, no, when newborns are born, how you have to stimulate them, it strengthens them. It keeps them, and also keep them alive. Stimulation. When I flatlined and I was brought back or I came back, it didn't go into that part. But one of the things they did that I thought was weird, way after the fact, they actually called my daughter back and had her speak into my ear on the doctor's cell phone. And what I later learned, because I'm researching everything, is it was stimulation and it was also the sound of a voice that I could recognize and I could hear her tears and leave me, stuff like that. But it was something that was weird to me. Like, why they do something like that, right? But it was necessary because they were trying to stimulate because they didn't know how my brain was affected for being out like that. So they needed a stimulate, and the doctor that did it knew. He knew. And so another doctor explained things to me. I couldn't really respond, but he was explaining things to me. And yeah, two scenarios, but yeah, sometimes you can, when the baby was being shaken, and I was thinking too, with his hand, he was moving the baby back and forth, and the baby was trying to cry. It just looked weird. Oh God, it was so weird. And I was like, reading the comments, and a medical professional had to come into the comments and state it is necessary, it's not cruelty to the baby. It's the baby, it's something in the baby, right? So I just want to share that with you. So we have to pay attention to our emotional states when we watch something, right? If my emotionals with that video, knowing what I know now, I should have immediately scrolled past it, but I didn't know. So I kept watching, although it was tearing me up. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. And I didn't turn it off. And then the next day I would look for it again. It took a while until my spirit got grounded. I didn't know what it was. My spirit got grounded. Some people were even calling it demonic in the comments. I don't know if the video is still up. They were calling it demonic. It was something that I cannot explain for a human being, and it's a baby. So it was like weird. And so we have to pay attention to our emotional state and listen to our intent, And scrolling while emotionally vulnerable, it even opens you up faster. Most of us do, But I go tos of what I listen to and watch when I need it. If I have the video, and sometimes it pulls a lot of my energy when I'm doing it, because if I get downloads that are very fast, I can't type fast enough. As I'm speaking, in order to not forget a point. And once I get finished, I'll watch something funny, a sitcom or something. You watch some of a sport, things that are neutral, something like that. And we are to avoid consuming anything before sleep because our spirit carried into the night. And so we have to clean our inner world after consuming heavy content. My comment, what I give to you isn't heavy for me. Actually, at times I'll be speaking, and my mind is going 1,000 miles a minute. I'll get really hot. I'll have to turn on this real high blower I have and hope you guys don't hear it, because I can't just have I don't know I know what's going on with me, but we have to know how to ground ourselves and breathe and reconnect inward, right? And we have to stay away from media that conflicts with our identity, because your spirit rejects anything that diminishes your purpose. Be selective about whose voice you let in. So when you hear our voices, and I believe that's why I was led to speak my voice, because actually I had videos that had another voice, one of these voices, And God was like, no, take that down. They have to hear your voice matters. It matters. I mean, they're wonderful channels. I know I watch them. They're AI generated and I enjoy them. And I've learned a lot and it spoke to my spirit when I needed it. Our spirit will reject anything that will diminish our purpose, right? So we have to be selective about whose voice because some people speak with residue. And as I was learning, as I was researching, and as I am now telling you, I had to be careful because it was irresponsible of me to do otherwise, right? Because I take this seriously because it's not a joke, because media can manipulate your spiritual discernment. And you don't just feel something, your emotional state can move. And movement creates openings. And so we have to be intentional. Our calling requires so much discipline. So people who get jealous of us, envious of what we have over our life, they have no idea the stories we can tell. Your spirit will know the difference. Media is not harmless. Media is not passive. Media is not neutral. Media is spiritual influence disguised as entertainment. And the chosen cannot afford to treat what enters their senses lightly. So your spirit is valuable, your insight is rare, and your subconscious is sensitive. Your emotional world is a doorway. Everything you consume trains or disturbs the inner world. You rely on our inner world. We rely on it to make decisions, hear direction, and sense danger. Once we master truth, we will stop asking, why does this bother me? And start asking, my spirit is alert. My discernment is working. Not everything deserves access. You don't consume content, we evaluate it. We don't just follow trends. We are to guard our spirit. And you don't get pulled open by sound and imagery. So you remain sealed, grounded, and covered because you understand the power of your senses and the weight of your calling. Your emotions are not just feelings. They are spiritual conditions. They are thresholds. They are indicators. And they are openings or closures. Most people think emotions come and go, but for the chosen, emotions govern access. Our emotional temperature determines the level of spiritual availability around us. So when you're steady, you're sealed. When you're grounded, you're guarded. When you're at peace, you're unreachable. And when you're emotionally aligned, portals stay shut. But when your emotions rise or fall suddenly, when they spike or drop, when they shake or destabilize, your spirit becomes more open than you realize. A chosen individual cannot afford extreme emotional swings because our inner world does not just feel, it transmits. And rapid emotional changes will send signals into the spirit realm, and they'll say something is shifting, something is unstable, something is vulnerable. And the moment instability is sensed, interference tries to approach. It doesn't mean you're attacked every time you cry or get frustrated. It just means that emotional extremes lower our guard and it makes our spirit more reachable. And see, this is why the chosen must master inner stillness, not emotional suppression, but emotional sovereignty. Your emotions are spiritual indicators because emotions don't lie. They reveal what your mind is trying to ignore. So when you feel irritated, sad, heavy, on edge, drained, disconnected, or overwhelmed, it's not always mental. Sometimes it's your spirit warning you that something is pulling at you, something is out of order, something is trying to open you. And see, most people would brush it off. Chosen people can't because your emotions are tied to your intuition, and your emotional world is your early detection system. And we feel things very deeply. And we have a different emotional design. Our emotional sensitivity is not a weakness, it is spiritual intelligence because we were born and we were built to detect dishonor, identify when there's dark spirits in the atmosphere, right? That's trying to interfere with us. And we are to recognize shifts. We are to sense jealousy, feel danger, perceive intention, and notice subtle vibrations and understand the unseen. Your emotions read what your mind hasn't caught yet. And this is why certain people can irritate you instantly, even when they're smiling, why certain rooms feel hostile the moment you walk in, and certain conversations just make your spirit tired. Because certain individuals feel heavy even when they seem harmless. Our emotions pick up what's happening spiritually. And because our emotions interpret the realms in the atmosphere, portals. So we must regulate carefully. And those unregulated emotions are portals. Any emotion that takes you out of alignment creates a spiritual opening, not because the emotion is wrong, but because the intensity of it exposes your inner world. Anger makes you spiritually loud. Your guard lowers because your focus is shifted toward what's happening outside of you. And fear makes you spiritually soft because your inner stability will begin to loosen. Anxiety will make our spiritual, emotional state scatter because our intuition gets drowned out by what's going on with us internally. Anxiety is about what's going on internally. Social anxiety, in my opinion, is less to do with the people in the room and more to do about what's going on in you and why is it detecting things in those atmospheres. Because overwhelming us, our inner world loses grounding. We become spiritually thin. I use spiritually thin. It may not be a phrase, but loneliness also will make us spiritually receptive. We become open to the wrong voices or connections. Stop walking around saying you're lonely. Either you're chosen or you're not. It's some people that say, I will not live this life without dating. I will not live this life without being married. Okay, your envelope. Relax. Sadness makes you spiritually exposed, so your inner barriers will weaken. You are not punished for your emotions. You are simply more accessible while experiencing them intensely. That's all. And this is why emotional regulation is not optional for us, it's part of our protection. So remember that. And we get overstimulated. And it's not because we're antisocial or dramatic. And it's not that we're too sensitive. It's that our nervous system is spiritually sensitive and our emotional intelligence, they're working at the same time. The nervous system and emotional intelligence, everything's working all at the same time. Spiritual sensitivity. So when we're around too many energies, our emotional world becomes overwhelmed because our spirit is decoding everything. It's decoding the motives, intentions. Am I safe here? What's hidden? What's unspoken? What states are these people in the room? What's in the atmosphere? Because our emotions respond to the total environment, not just the conversation. And this is why the chosen need rest. We need space, we need distance, we need silence, we need uninterrupted time alone. We need to recalibrate. Staying calm keeps our spirit sealed. I didn't know that. I'm learning it. Calm is not a feeling, it is a spiritual position. Calm keeps us sealed. Staying grounded prevents openings. And when you stay internally anchored, nothing external can pull you open. Staying clear keeps your intuition active. So confusion creates openings and clarity will shut them. It's like learn who a person is or what they're doing or what the secret is or what the intention, being sent your way. And once you recognize it, you can seal yourself, protect yourself because staying centered protects your insight. Because if you lose your center, you lose direction. And staying still internally silences interference. So disturbance thrives on inner movement. And the more emotionally regulated we become, the harder it is for anything to reach you. Distance prevents openings. And sometimes we have to leave relationship and people and separate ourselves because our emotions spike too much, too often, right? We spend so much time trying to decode everything around us and make sense of it. We're not even on our path. We're not on our journey. We're too busy fighting devils, spirits. Our silence is spiritual armor. I didn't know that. We have to learn how to activate grounding by breathing deeply and deliberately. We're in a situation and it's chaotic. We may have to take a deep breath and no one knows why. And we have to learn to name that root emotion so it stops moving uncontrollably. Call it out. Break that emotional pattern and shift your focus, right? Walk away, reset, pray, breathe, interrupt that loop. Release that emotional charge. Don't hold it. Let it pass through without letting it open you. See, that's why we have to set away, or ourselves for our own peace of mind in order to bring ourselves back to alignment. Where we be emotionally charged so often and for so long and for years and decades that we have to learn to just walk away, just throw our hands up in the air because we need to remind ourselves of who we are spiritually so our emotions can return under spiritual authority, under our authority, not our families, not our relationship, not our children's. not our employers, but ours. So chosen individuals don't deny emotions, they are to govern them. We are to take control of them. We are the author. When you feel grounded in chaos, you're emotionally regulated. When your intuition speaks clearly, you are emotionally regulated. When other people's emotions don't pull you in, when you stay calm around provokers, when the manipulative people can't influence your reactions, when environments don't shake your inner world, when your sleep improves, when your clarity stays intact, when you feel less spiritually accessible, you stop letting small things disturb you. Your emotional balance is proof of spiritual mastery, which are the signs your emotional temperature is protecting you. Your emotions is not your enemies. They are your indicators. They are your protectors. They are your early warning system. And when you regulate them, you guard your inner world from opening, from interference and unauthorized access. The chosen cannot afford emotional chaos because your emotional world is spiritual terrain. And once you learn to govern it, to rule over your emotions, you become untouchable. And your calm becomes armor. Your peace becomes protection. Your steadiness becomes sealing. And your groundedness becomes a declaration. And when you reach this level of emotional mastery, you don't just avoid portals, you walk through life with spiritual authority. And that to be opened by anything outside of divine permission. Let's get into one of the greatest traps the chosen fall into. It's not darkness, it's not enemies, and it's not sabotage. It's wrong assignments. Assignments look noble, feel urgent, seem important, sound spiritual, or appear connected to your purpose, but they are not yours. They do not belong to your destiny, your timeline, to your calling, and your spiritual jurisdiction. And stepping into something that heaven never asked you to touch opens portals faster than anything else. Because when the chosen show up somewhere, your presence carries responsibility. And so when you take responsibility for something that does not have your name on it, your spirit is exposed to battles you were never meant to fight. It took me 27 years to learn that. Wrong assignments are one of the biggest spiritual openings. Every divine assignment comes with protection, authority, covering, direction, clarity, and spiritual permission. But every unauthorized assignment comes with confusion, spiritual drain, emotional imbalance, unnecessary warfare, lack of peace, lack of clarity, vulnerability, and openings, not because we are weak, but because we stepped outside of our spiritual jurisdiction. Chosen individuals are spiritually powerful, but only in the territory that belongs to them. You wonder why, for me, I wonder why, my experiences with all of my spiritual power, even those I didn't wake up to. But it was because that territory that I was in didn't belong to me. And when you enter what is not yours, your strength becomes strain and your strain becomes openings. Wrong assignments often feel good. They feel noble, they feel compassionate, they feel responsible, they feel like you're helping, supporting, saving, guiding, or correcting. But intention is not permission. Good intention does not mean divine authorization. You can have a pure heart and still step into a place your spirit was never meant to enter. And every time you do, you pick up a battle that belongs to someone else's life. Your spirit becomes entangled in situations that don't match your calling, and you start feeling spiritually heavy, heavier, without knowing why. And see, we get the chosen individuals for us, we have certain qualities that make us vulnerable because we are observant, we're intuitive, we feel deeply, we can sense shifts in the atmosphere, we can pick up on patterns very fast. We even see through people quickly and still smile and have a conversation with them because we carry emotional intelligence. And so we want to protect those who are struggling. We want to correct what feels wrong. We want to uplift those who feel lost. And because of this, we step in. We intervene, we explain, we help, we guide, we support, we repair, and we carry. But not everyone you feel compassionate for is your responsibility. Not every situation that feels unfair is your battle. Not every crisis that appears in front of you is your assignment. And not every wounded person is someone you're meant to heal. Your calling does not apply everywhere. And when you apply yourself everywhere, you drain yourself everywhere. And there are types of unauthorized assignments. How about the emotional assignment, the rescue assignment, and the ego assignment? Someone pulls at our empathy, their pain becomes our project, their instability becomes our burden, their drama becomes our duty. But you weren't assigned to fix them, you weren't assigned to learn from them. How about when we try to play rescue? We step in as the savior. We try to prevent consequences. We try to shield people from their own decisions, and we try to carry weight that doesn't belong to our growth. But interference disrupts destiny, both theirs and ours. See, when we're on our ego mode, we see a problem and feel capable of solving it. But capability is not permission. Skill is not instruction, and sensitivity is not assignment. Just because you can doesn't mean you're meant to. And everything you enter, an assignment heaven didn't authorize, you enter without covering. There's spiritual consequences of wrong battles, even for the chosen. We get disciplined. When you enter an assignment that isn't yours, your spirit becomes exposed because you're fighting without divine backing. Those are the battles you lose. You carry someone else's spiritual residue and your spiritual off balance. You're connecting to the wrong spiritual relationships. You're absorbing emotions not meant for you. That's their stuff. There's not yours. We become friends or in relationships and we're absorbing all their emotions from them and their mess. Baby mama drama, baby papa drama, parent problem, family drama, kid trauma. We absorb all those emotions and we're not meant to. We're linked to the consequences we didn't create. All because we're involving ourselves and we're allowing people to access. We're giving them access to things they didn't earn. And then you're spiritually stretched thin. You're trying to fix what isn't connected to your purpose. And then you feel drained and disrupted and off balance, emotionally unstable, spiritually tired, mentally scattered, disconnected from your intuition, agitated for no reason, and unable to hear direction clearly because we're somewhere we shouldn't be. You stepped somewhere that God did not authorize, and your spirit is signaling to it. And distraction is not minor, it's not harmless, it's not just inconvenience, it is a portal because distraction pulls you from your lane, from your direction, your spiritual clarity, your purpose, your emotional balance, your divine flow, and your intuitive focus. And the moment you become distracted, your spirit becomes open, not because distraction is dangerous on its own, but because distraction shifts your attention away from the internal guidance that protects you. When you lose focus, you lose spiritual strength. When you lose spiritual strength, you lose grounding. And when you lose grounding, portals form. Everything has access. And when you're in assignments that have nothing to do with you, you lose peace the moment you step in. Peace is the sign of divine authorization. If peace leaves, you were never meant to enter. You feel spiritually drained, financially drained, instead of spiritually strengthened. Because divine assignments empower you. Unauthorized ones exhaust you, your flow, your finances, your economy. Your intuition becomes unclear because confusion is the first sign you stepped out of place. See, you begin experiencing unnecessary warfare. Wrong battles bring unnecessary spiritual friction, and you feel responsible in a way that doesn't feel natural. Sometimes even our loved ones create their own problems, and we don't have to feel responsible for them, although we naturally do. But true responsibility aligns, and false responsibility suffocates. It drains you. If it drains any area of your life, it's suffocating you. That means that is not your responsibility. You're doing more than the person you're helping. And if you care more about their growth than they do, that's not an assignment, that's a trap. Anything that destabilizes you without purpose is not aligned with your calling. And you have to break free from wrong assignments. Release the responsibility immediately. Detach your spirit. Let the situation return to its rightful owner and remove yourself without guilt. You are not required to carry what heaven didn't give you. Reground yourself. Reclaim your emotional stability. Close the access you gave. Limit communication, emotional involvement, and spiritual connection. Realign with your actual path. Focus back on what strengthens you. Return to what matches your identity and observe the results. Watch how your peace returns instantly once you let go of what never belonged to you. The chosen are powerful, but only in the places that heaven assigns. We are not built to fight every battle. We are not designed to carry every weight. We are not meant to heal every wound. We are not required to fix every mess. We are not assigned to everyone who cries for help. We are not authorized to enter every room where we sense dysfunction. Our spirit is too valuable. Our insight is too rare. Our emotional world is too sensitive, and our calling is too specific. Wrong assignments open you. Right assignments strengthen you. Once you learn the distinction, you stop letting guilt choose your battles and start letting purpose choose your steps. You remain sealed, protected, and aligned. And unauthorized portals stay shut because your focus stays narrow and your spirit stays grounded and your direction stays divine. Because after all the emotional insight, after all the atmospheric awareness, after all the understanding about speech, sleeps, people, and assignments, there is one truth that surpasses everything. Nothing protects the chosen like divine order. Not fear, not caution, not withdrawal, and not avoidance, but order. Not the human kind, the spiritual kind, the kind that keeps you in the right place at the right time, with the right posture, under the right covering, walking in the right direction with the right protection that heaven prescribed for your path. Everything in the spirit world responds to divine order. Everything outside of it tries to violate you, and everything within it cannot touch you. Divine order is not perfection. It is not performance. It is not law. It is not rigid discipline. Divine order is placement. It means your spirit stays where heaven positions you, not where fear pulls you, not where guilt drags you, not where chaos invites you, not where people try to influence you, and not where pressure pushes you. Order is the spiritual boundary that keeps you in your lane, and it keeps interference outside of it. When you are in divine order, your emotions, they will settle. Your intuition will strengthen. Your steps feel guided. Your spirit feels anchored. Your decisions feel supported. Your protection increases. Your vision becomes steady and your path becomes guarded. Divine order is the chosen person's safety and safest territory. Portals don't open just because something wants access. Portals open when you move out of position emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and relationally, out of order. When you leave your position, your emotions become shaky, your instincts become quiet, your spirit feels pulled, your peace becomes disturbed, your thoughts feel scattered, your protection feels thinner, and your discernment feels distant. All of these are signs you stepped somewhere you did not belong. You didn't sin, you didn't fail, you didn't fall. You simply moved out of divine order, and openings appear where order is absent. And this is why returning to your rightful spiritual position closes portals faster than prayer, fasting, or even warfare ever could. And timing is part of your order. And so when you are rushed ahead, fall behind, hesitate when you should move, engage when you should stay still, speak when you should be silent, act when you were told to wait, involve yourself prematurely, hold on to someone past their expiration, and revisit what heaven closed, you step outside the timeline that belongs to you. And once you step outside your timing, you step outside your protection. Because heaven protects your inside, they protect you inside your timing, not outside of it. And this is why procrastination drains you, because you're late. And this is why rushing exhausts you, you're early. And this is why certain connections collapse instantly, their window closed. And this is why certain opportunities feel heavy. They were never meant for you. This is why certain conversations feel off. They were not scheduled for this season. When you follow divine timing, you walk guarded. When you ignore divine timing, you walk open. Distraction is the opposite of order. Divine order requires focus, not obsession, stress, or tension. Focus. Distraction is spiritual displacement. If it pulls you away from your internal compass, if it pulls your energy away from your destined movement, if it pulls your emotions away from your spiritual grounding, and once you're distracted, you are dislocated. Not physically, but spiritually. We have to be careful because our spirit moves out of position heaven placed it in, and openings appear where focus is lost. So this is why the chosen cannot afford mental clutter. Our focus is part of our protection. Our attention is part of our shield. Where we focus, our spirit will follow. Chosen individuals function best in divine order, not chaos, confusion, or instability. You may have lived in unstable environments. You may have grown up in unpredictable situations, and you may have been surrounded by inconsistent people, but your spirit was never designed for that. Deep down, you always knew. You think clearer in stillness. You hear better in quiet. You thrive when things make spiritual sense. You operate best when your steps feel led. You feel strongest when your direction feels internal, not external. You don't need extreme peace. You need divine order. And when your life returns to that state, your gift rise. All of them. Your confidence sharpens. Your insight expands. Your protection tightens. You remember who you are. So protect your emotional state. Protect your daily rhythm. Choose individuals. Individuals require spiritual consistency. That is protecting your rhythm. Rhythm is daily spiritual consistency. Protect that internal voice. And when that voice becomes quiet, you stepped off your path. Protect your association. Order gets disrupted by the wrong people moving too close. Protect your intention and attention. Because whatever has your attention has your influence. Protect your decisions. Not every opportunity deserves a yes. Protect your spiritual posture. If you feel pulled, pause. If you feel pressured, wait. If you feel manipulated, detach. If you feel confused, step back. And if you feel guided, move. Your spirit will always tell you where order is. Signs are in divine order. It will show. You will know it by the internal results. Your steadiness, your strong intuition, your peaceful awareness, your deep internal grounding, your confidence without effort, your protection without fear, your spiritual strength without struggle. Faster discernment, effortless guidance, doors closing that needs to close, doors opening without strain, people revealing their true intentions, unnecessary connections falling away, an inner sense of exactly you feeling that you are exactly where you should be. This is what divine order feels like for the chosen when you are undisturbed, unbothered, unreachable, and covered. Divine order closes portals automatically. You don't avoid portals by fear, you avoid portals by divine placement. And when you stay in divine order, emotional openings close, atmospheric interventions such as witchcraft will weaken, human gateways will lose access, wrong assignments will fall away, dream interference will decrease, mental distraction will dissolve, spiritual attacks will lose permission, manipulation will get exposed, confusion will clear, heaviness will lift, your intuition will strengthen, and your path will become spiritually guarded. Divine order is the highest spiritual reinforcement the chosen can walk in. It is the seal around your life. It is the boundary around your calling. It is the shield around your destiny. And once you stay in divine order, nothing can reach you without permission. Nothing can touch you without consequence. Nothing can access you without exposure. Nothing can influence you without being confronted by the power that backs your existence. You were never meant to survive by fear, control, or hypervigilance. And when I say hypervigilance, it means that you're always expecting the ball to drop. Your protection was always divine order. That is the realm where heaven guards you. It's the realm where your intuition thrives. It's the realm where portals cannot open. It's the realm where interference cannot enter. It's the realm where your identity remains untouchable. When you stay in divine order, your presence becomes a spiritual announcement. It is saying, I am covered, I am placed, I am held, I am sealed, and nothing can enter. This is the highest form of protection that the chosen can walk in. You don't avoid portals, you rise above them. Thank you for visiting my channel. Stay covered, stay conscious, and stay undefeated. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye-bye.